All right, welcome back to the Sandler Law Podcast. My name is Theodore or Tuvia Sandler. I'm the managing partner of Sandler Law PA, a civil litigation firm in Miami specializing in commercial litigation, creditors' rights, and commercial collections. Today I'm joined by a very exciting guest, Kristina Kushner. She's the head of chapter48.com. It's a process serving firm here in Florida, and we're here to talk about serving process in Florida. Welcome, Kristina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, first question is, how do you, or for that matter, anyone really, end up in this line of business? It's kind of like this miscellaneous thing that we need, every lawyer needs, but how do you get into it?
Exactly. Well, it was my husband, I was doing other things and he got me. So yeah, it was his company, and he actually started off back in the 1980s with Courthouse Couriers, and then he was with Kaplan Markowitz and Kay, and then we started our own process serving company in 2000, which is Process Server Inc.
Okay, so and was he a lawyer, or he was doing
No,
service and then okay,
he was doing service, and well, first he was doing the courier thing, and then it kind of evolved into the process serving, and they used to do attend the foreclosure sales and that kind of thing at the courthouse too.
okay, cool,
Mhm.
very cool. So what does it take to become a server, at least in Florida?
I mean, anybody over the age of 18 who, you have to take a test, you have to submit to a background check and fingerprinting, and every year subsequent training, we get updates on the statutes, things like that.
And
And
the test that's it's like a straightforward, simple test.
yeah,
What's
it's
it
like
kind of?
100 questions, and it's, all different scenarios, and you got to know your statutes. We're either serving, usually, generally, we're either serving an individual or a corporation. So we just follow the statutes for what that says. Mhm.
Okay. All right, cool. And maybe just backing up a step for the non-lawyers, what is a serving process?
Okay, so service of process is the initial notification to a defendant that, hey, a lawsuit's been filed against you, or you're a witness in a case and they want to depose you. And it's just letting them know. Basically, it's not enforceable. It's civil matters, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right. And so I think especially non-lawyers don't realize that service, at least in every state I'm aware of, you need to actually hand the papers in person to the person. You can't just mail it out.
Well, exactly, and it is kind of an old-timey kind of thing that we do, but there is a certain set of criteria that has to be met before we serve that person. Do we have to personally serve someone all the time? No. Only in rare occasions does it have to be personal service. And as far as the in-hand thing, if they don't want to take it and say, I'm not touching that, I'm not taking it, we politely say, well, I'm serving you, I'm notifying you, you have 20 calendar days or whatever it is they're being asked to do, and we lay it at the threshold.
Right, but just to be clear, to start a lawsuit or like an initial subpoena, you can't
Mhm.
just mail it. At least in
No,
state court, right?
no,
You at least have to attempt to hand it to them. We can
correct,
get into, if you attempt enough times, there are exceptions. We can get into that, but
correct.
as a general matter, you got to go out there. Someone has to go out there with the papers.
Before you can get the alternative means of service, you got to go through all the hoops first. Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right, so how does the business kind of work? You're my process server, generally speaking, so I'm sure sometimes I send you papers and you handle it yourself, right?
Correct.
And so you'll just take, it's like, for example, banks, big companies, generally, they will have a registered agent that kind of sits in an office. They're very easy to serve. So those are the kinds that you'll take yourself.
Yeah, but I try not to like steal all the good stuff from my people that I work with too. For the most part, I am in the office. I pretty much run the office, and there's a lot to do here as far as getting the stuff out. So me, myself personally going to homes and things like that, it's not as much. I would say maybe 25% of the work that comes in, I do myself. And
Okay.
again, I'm licensed. We're all licensed in our own jurisdiction. So I'm licensed in Broward. We're SPS in Broward, and in Palm Beach, we're CPS. So I have those two licenses. So if someone sends me something for Dade, I use my Dade guys. Or if someone sends me something for Orange County, I use my Orange County certified or special process servers up there.
Okay.
Even nationwide, I'm a member of NAPS,
Mhm.
and it's the National Association of Professional Process Servers. And if I have something, you call your people and say, hey, I got this and it's a rush and you got to be here, blah, blah, blah. Can you do it? That kind of thing. It's a reciprocity kind of thing.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that intricate. So it's actually, at least in Florida, it's by county. You need to be certified by county.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
And then, okay.
Well,
So,
some counties, like up in northern Florida, like I'm looking at my little map here, you got all these circuits. So sometimes there'll be like the Fifth Judicial Circuit, which I believe is like Gainesville, Alachua, Citrus, maybe Hernando. Those are all lumped together, and that you would be certified for all of those counties. But down here, it's Dade, Broward, Palm Beach are all separate. And
oh,
you
wow.
even have some counties in Florida that do not have a program. So there is no sheriff appointed or judge appointed programs in counties like Volusia. What's another one? Clay or St. John's. And then you have to be appointed on a case by case basis. The judge would appoint you on the case. But then once you're appointed, you can serve any subsequent process in that case. You don't have to be appointed every time.
Okay.
That's where the motion and order for appointment of Ellisor comes in. So that's really old timey.
I don't think I've ever had a case like that. What a hassle. I mean, is there a
Yeah,
hearing and everything, or is
it
it
is a
just?
hassle because, like, if you have your case issued in Broward, but the person you need to serve is in Volusia, you have to get your Broward judge to give you that sign off on that order. Yes, I'll appoint this person.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sure I'll run into it down the road somewhere.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, and so the people you kind of work out or work with, so you get a call and say, hey, go serve this complaint and summons, and that's how you
Yeah,
initiate
we
a
work
lawsuit.
together. Exactly. You send me yours, I'll send you mine.
So, but let's say you need to serve somebody up in Tallahassee. Are they employees, or they're kind of independent contractors that you have a
It'd be
network?
independent contractors, and there are some process servers that are just like a one man, one woman show, especially in some of these little counties. I have one lady that works for us forever, and I think she's server number one, and I think she's the only server. So when she's done, then we would have to use the sheriff. There are some counties that are just not, there's no one there. So sometimes we do have to send stuff to the sheriff's office to serve it for us by deputy, which is kind of a bummer because they don't really communicate the way we do. We're all over our stuff and they're giving me updates as they're happening, and that doesn't happen with the sheriff's office. But they do, for the most part, a really good job also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that generally comes with an additional fee, right? You got to pay the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And just so people know, what's your going rate generally? Just regular service in
I
Florida.
mean, yeah, for attorneys, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, we do offer $55 per defendant per address. Whereas the sheriff's department, they charge 40. But if I'm sending it to the sheriff and I got to babysit it for you, then we're going to add a little additional on top of that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you need to go out of state, I've had cases with you. We had to go out of state. So how does that work? You just have contacts in other states?
I have contacts in other states, yes. Puerto Rico, Canada, Virgin Islands. We served somebody in the Marshall Islands once. I think you were asking me about, Israel, and they're
Yeah.
part of the Hague, and that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, we
Yeah.
send
That's
someone who's licensed in that area. And if I'm sending them a paper from a Florida state court venue, they have to follow our rules. They don't follow their rules. They follow, like in California, you can serve on a Sunday. So if I send them my Broward case there to serve, I have to tell them, don't serve this on a Sunday because it won't be good.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. All
Mhm.
right. Cool.
And
Yeah.
if
And
they
then
send me theirs, California or I think Texas has the most ridiculous rules as far as has to be personally served. So if I have a husband and wife at the same address, the wife answers the door. Yeah, my husband's not home right now. I can't serve her his paper until after 3 attempts. So how do you think that goes? The first time
yeah.
they open the door is usually the best and only time. So
Right. Yeah. No.
makes it
Yeah.
harder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Florida, I thought Florida's rules were pretty strict, but I mean, at least here, you get someone above 18 who lives in the same residence. That's enough in Florida.
15. 15.
15. Okay. I stand corrected. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, some states are 18, some are 16. I think we're the youngest, 15. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you touched on the Hague Convention, but that's really a whole different ballgame.
Whole
And
different
that's,
ball
yeah.
game. Yeah. And if they're not part of the, if that country where you're trying to serve this person is not part of the Hague, then you have to go to letters of rogatory. And yeah, it's really hard if they're not part of the Hague. It could take months or years to serve someone.
And just
If,
so everyone understands, the Hague Convention is an international treaty that, if you have a lawsuit in Florida, you need to say serve someone in France, or you can basically send your papers over to courts in France who will serve under their rules,
correct.
basically. But it's a whole process. It takes a
Yeah.
long time,
It's a
and
pain.
yeah, it's really, yeah, that's really a whole different.
You better
You
hope you
don't
have a good
even
address.
right, but you don't really handle that, right? That you need to go to someone a different service.
Yeah, I've handled it a little bit here and there, and I'll help someone that's looking for guidance. I'll get them in the right direction, but yeah, it's probably better to work directly with them rather than middlemaning it. Mhm.
Yeah. All
Mhm.
right, so getting down to kind of the nitty gritty and in the trenches of service. So a lot of times service is easy. They're home, you hand it to them. But some people know the game, which is it's a very effective game. If you want to avoid a lawsuit, just never take the papers and
Or lie.
right, or
You
lie
know,
that you're
I
not the
don't know who that
person,
is. I've
or
lived here for 2 years. I never heard of that person,
yeah, and
and
then
find out you're talking right to them, So how do you know? How do you know when
yeah,
someone's lying?
right. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that despite the absurdity of it, that does work. Until they've been handed the papers, the lawsuit does not start. So, how do you address that?
They make us work for it. So, when you're sending us a paper and you think someone's going to be particularly difficult, um, the more information you give us, the better. What kind of car do they drive? Do you have a picture of them? We're gonna sometimes, like, before we even go, I'll run property appraiser. Who owns this house? Is this the person I'm looking for? If it's owned and homesteaded to the guy I'm looking for and his wife, and a female answers the door, I'm gonna say her name. Hey, Michelle. Yeah. Is your husband home? No, he's not here right now. Oh, okay. I'm a process server and I have this document from blah 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 court, and please let him know he's been served, and that's it. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
Little
So,
things. Or if I go to a house and I don't have any background information, I'm just walking in cold. Someone says, "Oh yeah, I don't know who that is. I never heard of them." I'll check the tags before I leave and go back to my office and run my tags and be like, son of a bee, they lied to me. And then you have to go back, and that makes it hard. And sometimes what we'll do, because now they know what I look like, they know what kind of car I drive, sometimes I'll send someone else.
yeah.
Or sometimes that's where I come in with my servers who are like, yeah, these people just won't open the door, and I've tried everything. Sometimes sending a lady to the door, people are a little less suspect of me being a process server, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's nice. It's like surprise.
What percentage of cases are like that? Meaning where they're kind of avoiding you, they know they can game the system.
Gosh, Tuvia, I've been doing this a long, long time, and I don't know if it's getting harder or if I'm getting more tired of it. But, and the ring bells, the talking to you through the camera. Well, are you home right now? Because if I can get them to tell me they're home, maybe I can serve it. But they're like, nope, I'm not home, and I don't know when I'm going to be home, and I'm out of the country, and are they lying to me? Are they telling me the truth? I don't know. So we just keep trying, diligence, tenaciousness, tenacity, I guess is a better word. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
probably.
say it out. Yeah.
So, and at what point does it kind of escalate? Meaning, you've gone there however many times, five
Oh,
times.
I mean, if we've exhausted our efforts, we've exhausted our efforts. A traditional round of attempts is, 5 times, depending on the address. Like if it's close to the process server's home, I know I have somewhere there, because we want to get them for you. I mean, you don't have anything until you have service, and we want to get your people served for you. But there does come a point. So I would say after your 5 attempts, you've just, you've done everything. You've maybe even confirmed that the person lives there by a neighbor. Hey, does so and so live at this house? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And when do you see them? Sometimes we interview neighbors too. But if you can't, you can't. Or my favorite thing that ever happened to me was I knocked on a door and I heard a voice from the other side, and they said, "No one's home." I was like, "What?" And like, who am I talking to? And then you try and get them to talk and they won't. So yeah.
So, Do you ever get into a situation where you'll stake out a property, meaning
Yep.
you'll sit in your car the
Yep.
whole day?
The whole day is really hard because listen, we got to go to the bathroom. Right? I don't know about you, but yeah, it makes it hard. But we could do like where server one will do the morning sit and then we'll send someone else for the afternoon.
Yeah,
But again, before we're doing wait time, because I have that a lot in the condominiums and things down in Miami Beach, and you're just knocking on a door, you can hear the AC running, but you can't hear anything else. So are they in residence? Are they not in residence? It's
yeah,
like, oh yeah, do a stakeout, sit in the hallway for 8 hours, probably not because we don't even know if they're there. If we know they're there, then maybe that's a different story. But
yeah.
yeah. But yes,
Obviously, that comes and that comes
wait
with
time.
additional. It
Yeah.
comes with additional costs, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then so what if you open? I don't know. Has this ever happened to you? They open the door and like they're holding a gun or something, and it's like, get off my
That,
property.
thank God, has never happened to me, but I have had someone threaten me, like, if you don't, I'll shoot you. I never saw a weapon, you know. I had a process server, and he's an older guy, retired, and he went up to serve the paper. The garage door's open, guy's in the garage. You think the wife was in the house. You could see her because the door into the house was open. He goes up to serves the guy, and as he's walking back to his car, the guy takes the butt of his gun and hits this man, our process server, right in the back of his head. And I mean, the server gets away, gets in his car. The guy's following him, speeding. Of course, the server at that point is on with, the whoever's jurisdiction it is, BSO, PBSO, whoever, and saying, "Hey, I'm a process server, and this just has happened," and we report the incident.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's kind of scary. There's a lot of crazy people out there, and it's not getting any kinder.
Yeah, yeah. We just had that case where somebody sicked a dog on one of the servers, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They just opened the door a crack and let out Bruno.
yeah,
It's scary. I had a
right.
server too. He has a little Prius, and he's jumping on top of the hood of his car, and this dog's like coming after him. It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
no,
what?
no guns pulled on me. Thank God.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you generally only resort to the sheriff if you're in one of these counties where it's the only option. You're not taking them out there because you're afraid or anything like that.
Well, I mean, we have had situations too where someone will out and out say, "If you come back here, I'll blow your brains out." So yeah, we're not going to go back for our, $40, $50 paper, to risk that. So no, then we'll send it to the sheriff and give them a note, say, "Hey, on this date, this is what happened. Proceed with caution."
Okay, wow. So what happens if you serve someone and then you can file what's called a motion to quash, which is basically a
Yes.
defendant can contest the validity of the service, saying,
Yep.
I never got the papers, it wasn't
Right.
my wife. So what do you do then? Meaning, because then what the court needs to do usually is conduct an evidentiary hearing. So you
Right.
need to go testify, right?
Been to many. Been to many. And it could be the most perfect, easy service, personally served. Oh, yeah, I knew this was coming. Thank you. And then, 6 months later, after their garnishment hits the bank, all of a sudden they weren't served. I
Right.
found it in the bushes, whatever their story is. So, yeah, we will stand behind our affidavit and show up and testify.
And I mean, like, how often does that happen?
I don't have any this year yet. Oh, yeah, I did too. I'm lying. We had one January 6th, but it wasn't me. I have
Okay.
my motion to quash wall here. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, how often, how many times in a year do we get those? 10,
Yeah.
10, maybe.
Right.
It's not that common, but yeah, when we have to be there, you know.
Right. It's always a tell when people do that because the amount of money they have to spend to conduct an evidentiary hearing. It's like,
Exactly. Well, they're
what is the
hoping we
point?
won't show. They're hoping we won't show, and they're hoping
Yeah.
somehow, some way. And listen, it is always up to the judge too. You know, we've had some things quashed where the server and the attorney are like, "I can't believe it," and it's like, you gotta present and have your statutes ready to defend that service. For the judge to be like, "All right, motion denied." Love those
Yeah.
words.
Right. Yeah.
Motion
Exactly.
denied. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is an exception we talked about. I know generally, but maybe you could elaborate as far as at what point can you go to the Secretary of State and what does that entail? Just so people understand, under the statute, it's Chapter 48 of Florida statutes.
Yeah, I mean that's really a lawyer question. Like at what point do you do that? My job is to take that paper and, say it's an individual and I go to the first address he gave me, it's vacant. We find out they sold the house, then we try and find a new address, we find a new one, we try and serve them there. They're avoiding. We give you our return and non-service with all the details. And I think, after you've done that much, I don't know how many times, if it takes the alias, a pluries, whatever, or if it's, it's probably case by case basis, and
Yeah.
how hard did you work? But you can't be too quick to go to Secretary of State because they're just going to be like, yeah, you didn't try hard enough, try again, and then you got to start all over.
Right. Yeah, that's always a quandary. So, so people understand, once you've attempted enough, particularly if the defendant is a business or they've moved out of state.
Well, right, because they have to follow the 48081, 48091. Do they?
Right.
No.
No,
Like a
never.
lot of
Right.
times I get attorneys like, well, what do you mean it's a house? And I'm like, it's a house. They're using their
Right.
registered agent. It's their house, Well,
Right.
they can't do that. And I'm like, well, they did, you know.
Yeah, and so people understand, meaning a company has to have a registered agent in Florida
Right,
that's ready to accept service. So,
right.
in theory, that's great. You
Yeah,
just walk in and hand them service. But especially a lot of the small companies,
right,
they just name themselves at their home, and of course they're
right.
not there. And
Right.
so,
Or where they're naming it is their mom's house and they have their driver's license and all their stuff going to mom's house, but they don't live there. So I can't serve mom because she's not a co-resident of the registered agent. So yeah, they
right,
make you work for it for
right,
sure sometimes.
right. But at some point, you can just, and again, you have to consult an attorney. But at some point, once you've attempted enough, you can go to Florida Secretary of State, which
Correct.
means you mail it, or these days you can upload it
Right.
to the Florida
But
Secretary
in
of
that
State.
too, there's a whole statute on
Yeah.
that too. And you have to
Right.
have all your forms ready or they'll just reject it. So you have to have your
Yeah.
cover letter citing what statute you're trying to effect service under, and then you'll have your returns and non-service underneath. This is what happened before. If it's that nice, neat, and tidy, they're gonna take it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but it's definitely a whole process, and you definitely should
Yeah.
consult an attorney before doing it.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so maybe just to wrap up a little bit. So, what are the kind of tricks of the trade? You told us a couple, but how do you, when you have a tough target, um, what are your bag of tricks?
I mean, bag of tricks. I mean, you want to if you're going to a house, probably the first question out of my mouth is, "Hi, do you live here? Is this your house?" If they say yes, I know I'm serving somebody. If yes to the next question comes, which is, does blah 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 live here with you?
Hmm.
It's not a
Okay.
trick, I guess.
Well, yeah, no. So I mean, right. First catching people off guard before they know what's coming.
Right.
So
Like you
yeah.
don't want to go up and say, "Hi, I'm a processor and I have the summons for,"
Right.
it's gonna be like, we don't know who that is.
Yeah. So I'm sure the first few questions are probably the most
Or just
critical.
close the door and don't say anything. Then what do you do? Can't drop it, you
Right.
know.
Because you don't know.
You don't
Yeah.
know. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. So it sounds like those first few interactions are really critical if you have someone
Yeah.
dodging service. Yeah.
Well, I had one instance where we had a woman who worked for the United States Postal Service. She was a mail carrier. Now, you can't go into the post office and serve them because it's government property. So you'd have to wait for them to come out. And that's what we were doing because she was just at the house avoiding. I mean, so obvious, like knocking on the door and the lights are on. You knock on the door and then the lights go off. It's like, I know you're home, but
Yeah.
how hard can you knock on the door? How much can I'll yell, hello, and if they don't answer, they don't answer. There's not much you can do. So anyway, we figured out what post office she worked at. We figured out what car she had. She wasn't parking in the employee lot, which we were staking out forever, looking for her on vacation. I don't know. Then we found her in the public parking lot, but where she was parking, there was a big hill, and where she was parking, when you drove by, you couldn't see. And there was a tree there that had a lot of undergrowth, like it hadn't been trimmed in a long time. And I'm like, I'm going to hide in that tree and wait for her to come. And I did. And I had to do it like a few times. You feel like an idiot standing. And I remember one day there was like this, I hear this scritching above my head, and it was a squirrel. And like I see him and he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh my God, please do not jump on my head, please. But I got her. I got her. She came to work, popped the trunk, and I came out from behind the trees. She must have been like, where did you come from? You know? And I served her, and oh God, it felt so good because we worked so hard to get her, you know? She was good. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it definitely shows dedication on your part. So, I mean, you've told us some good stories, but what's the absolute craziest you've had?
Oh gosh, the craziest. I really haven't had, I'm glad I haven't had too much crazy. I did have a woman like swat at me with her hand as I was handing the paper. She swatted in her fingernail and she scratched my nose. And I was fairly new at it, you know, and I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. I called my husband. I'm like, what do I do? He's like, you got to get away from there, call the police, you know. So I called sheriff's office. He met me at a gas station. I told him what happened. He says, all right, we're going to go to the house because it's assault. It's like hitting your mailman for bringing you your credit card bill. You know, you don't want it, so you hit your mailman. It's stupid. But anyway, so we went to the house, and then the kids lied and said, "Oh yeah, she's not home." Well, where'd she go? She went to Deerfield. I was just sitting in my car. They said, "All we want you to do is give us a nod if we say is, you know, we're going to point to her, and if it's her, give us a nod." So the kids come out and say, "Oh, she's not home. She went to the store, blah blah blah." And then a few seconds later, she comes jogging around the house in her workout clothes, and they looked at me, and I went like that, and they arrested her.
Oh,
They arrested her for hitting me.
well.
But I was like freaked out. It was horrible, you know, because I'm just there. I think that one, the husband was avoiding like really bad. The server that was initially working it, the guy was like floating in the pool. The server went to the backyard and looked over saw the guy in the pool and was like, "Hey, Frank," or whatever his name was, you know. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm his brother. I'm visiting. I don't live here." Like that it's probably him, but how do you know? You know,
Yeah.
it was like that. And the initial server gave up, and I said, "Well, let me try." You know. Then she swatted me, the wife. But anyway, we got service, and I
What
didn't press
happened?
charges.
You handed
I
her
think
the
she had to
papers.
do community service or something like that. But good. Don't smack your process servers, you know.
Did you handed her the papers after she got arrested?
No, I had already served it and
Oh,
left, but
and you got swatted
but I was
then.
scared, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
if they say that I did something? Because that's the whole thing. You want to protect yourself too.
yeah, yeah. You
You
mean
know?
in court if they move to quash or anything?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
yeah. She could say, "Oh, this crazy process server, you know, came at me," and you know what I mean. They can. So you want to protect yourself too,
Right.
and maybe teach them a lesson. You know, don't be a grown up and handle your stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like I said, it's just civil process, and people get so crazy over it. And I know it's scary to be served. I got served once for a depot a long time ago, and I was scared. You know, they don't know, and I don't know. I try and explain it to people. You know, I try and tell them, listen, I know this is uncomfortable or whatever, but you just have to, you know, give this to your attorney or, you know, you have to respond. Don't not respond, but you have to answer this, you know.
yeah,
Don't ignore it because it won't be good because it's not, you know that.
right. Yeah, no, I mean it's there's nothing quite as frustrating as somebody dodging service. I can say that
Well,
for a
that's what I
lawyer at
say.
least.
So, like, is it harder to serve people now than it what? I don't know. It feels like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It feels like it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all from my end. I think I'm,
Okay.
ready to wrap up. If so, again, that's Kristina Kushner. If people want to check you out, your business, where should they go?
Chapter48.com. We're right
Uh,
in sunny Dania Beach, Florida. That's where our office is. And we do the whole state of Florida nationwide. Like I said, some Canada, things like that. So, yep, we're here to help you. And if you have any questions too, or like paralegal, they want to know what do I need for this, what do I need for a motion in order to appoint a process server, I'll help them.
right. And I can say for myself, Christine is a great resource when it comes to, service of process, great process server. And thank you, Christina, for joining.
Thank you. Have a good day.